Okay, this next objective is absolute value functions. Number 27 says to graph this function. So does 28. We know that if we have an absolute value function, it is going to look like a v either way. So just keep that in mind. On this one, I'm first of all going to identify the vertex, and I'm actually going to identify it the exact way that we recognize it for quadratic. So if we're looking at this, it's going to be the opposite of what's on the inside, and then the same as on the outside. So our vertex is negative 1, 3. And then from here, differently than quadratics, we just look at this one. This is going to be our slope. So our slope is negative 2. So from here, we're going to go down 2 over 1 in both directions. I'll do that a couple times. And so there is my v. Okay, number 28, very similar to this as well. Sorry about that. Okay, my vertex is going to be the opposite of what's on the inside of with the x. So it's going to be negative 2, comma. There's nothing on the outside, which would just mean plus 0. So my vertex is going to be at negative 2, 0. So I'm going to go to the left 2 and then stay put. If there's no number in front of here, we're going to put a 1. And again, that's going to represent my slope. So from here, I'm going to go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1. So it's creating that v once again. And there we go. Alrighty, number 29 says to solve for x, we've got the absolute value of x minus 5 plus 2 equals 11. Absolute values generally have two answers, so that's what we're going to be looking for here. First of all, we want to isolate the absolute value, so I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. So I'll get the absolute value of x minus 5 is equal to 9. And then at this spot is where we write two equations. We'll have x minus 5 equals 9, or x minus 5 equals negative 9. And then from here, we'll just solve each of the equations. So if I add 5 to this first one, I'll get x equals 14. And if I add 5 to the second one, I'll get x equals negative 4. So those would be my two answers, possible answers for x. Right, number 30, we're going to solve and graph the inequality. We have the absolute value of x minus 7 is greater than 9. We are at the spot already that we can write our two equations. We're going to have inequalities, We'll have x minus 7 is greater than 9. We will also have x minus 7 is less than negative 9. And then from here, we are going to, and it is going to be because it's greater than, it will be or. From here, we'll just add 7 to both sides. So we'll get x is greater than 16. And then if we add 7 on this one, we will get x is less than negative 2. And again, that's or. So we're going to graph x is greater than 16, which would be about right here. And it's greater than, so it's going to be pointing in to the right. And then x is less than negative 2. This will also be an open circle. And it's less than, so it's pointing to the left.